Last week on the Nicoletti Show. Without further ado, let's welcome him to the show, JJ. There you are, man.
One of the things that I always tell people is that it's a whole lot easier to stay out of trouble than to get out of trouble. You know, it's been said that there are two things that can be said to be certain in life, death and taxes, but I add to that conflict.
A lot of people don't want to spend the money to do the right documents up front. And then when they don't do it, then they end up getting into the conflict, the dispute, and then they have to spend way more money, right?
Anytime you're dealing with other people, there's the potential for conflict. Well, that's what lawsuits are all about. Before it ever gets to a lawsuit, a lot of that is just a dispute. So the better job we can do of avoiding those lawsuits from the very beginning, it just helps us tremendously.
You really know how to make a roadmap out of this.
So with a limited liability company, we can say, no, your liability is limited to what's in the company. Maybe you're putting no money down. Well, you've still got liability. If you purchase this property and somebody slips and falls on it and they sue you because they're saying, you know, you did something to cause them damages, they're going to file a lawsuit against you. Well, now your potential liability could be exponential. Your liability is limited to the entire company. Well, that's a pretty big chunk of liability that you've got there for yourself. So whenever I hear somebody say, no, I have an LLC, how many do you think that means they have? One.
I love what you're talking about. A lot of people don't realize that you can easily avoid probate with the beneficiary designation. The beneficiary designations on the bank account, on the IRA, anything that you can designate or fill out a form that says payable on death, transfer on death. A lot of people are like, well, wait, we want to avoid probate. Like, should we just do the will? It's like, wait, there's so many other things aside from that will that people should be doing. I really do like how you're laying out all these things when it comes to estate planning.
Part of the overall estate planning process is not just drafting your documents, but it's also funding your trust. When I say funding your trust, I'm talking about that process of transferring those assets into the trust, because the trust is only going to cover what's been transferred into it.
JJ, if you could go back and give yourself advice when you were first starting out in business, what would you say?
There's a saying, it says, don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. I wish I had done more of that. I bought a lot of real estate during my career. At the same time, I wish I had more. I'd say the right real estate. I've had some of the right real estate, but I've also had some wrong real estate. That's what I would tell somebody, is keep doing it, because the one thing that we've seen is real estate goes up in value.
Boom. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for being here.
You do such a great job, and I feel almost like I've made it, that I'm on your show here.
I'll see you soon, man. Keep in touch. Always fun seeing the last week's segments. And JJ, he dropped so much knowledge on estate planning, asset protection. If you missed that episode, go back and check that out. And JJ's right. Buy more real estate, right? A lot of people are watching the show or trying to get into real estate. And this is what it's about. Learning from people that have this knowledge and have been in this game long enough that can give you this advice that can really help you propel your business, family, you name it, on how you can do better in this industry. And what we want to do is always provide the value. And if you miss any of it, check it out. And of course, you can find all the guests on the social platforms. Check that out there. We'll put the link tree and the QR code over in the corner. And if you are enjoying anything with this episode, share it. Please feel free on the Facebook pages. If you're watching on YouTube and you know a friend that could really use this, share it with them. We love when the community is sharing, and we want to bring that content to you. So feel free to do that. And tonight we have on the Jerry Green, the guy that is the master with sales in real estate. And he's been doing this for a long time. And he can tell you a whole thing on how to get more of these deals, how to close more deals. And I love Jerry. I met Jerry at Family Mastermind. Ever since we clicked, we're all going to dinner at Burns with Nick Legamaro and the whole crew, and just having a great time. You get to learn from the best. And that's what it's all about, right? Building the relationships, growing together, and then we get to share that value with others. So I'm excited about this episode, and I just have some opening thoughts for everybody tonight. You know, opening thoughts, if you are running a business and you have clients or even potential clients coming in, if you haven't made yourself a checklist of items that really help either qualify people or qualify what you need in order for you to do your business, you're not helping yourself. You need checklist. If you are doing high volume business, you need to create a checklist so that you can help yourself and your team on getting really qualified leads. And it helps everybody else. When you have that system in place, it helps. In my law firm, we have the probate checklist. We had to design it a year ago because there were so many probates that were coming in, and we had to figure out what was going on. How can we get all this, and how can we systemize this into a smooth process? So my advice out there, implement a checklist in your business. Doesn't matter if it's law, doesn't matter if it's real estate or another business. It will help you in so many ways, and it'll help your team. So I hope you all implement that right there. Well, I'm ready to go. It's crazy to believe I had the energy right now to do this. I got my pen, I got my paper. I'm ready for Jerry Green tonight. I'm excited for this. I'm going to be a student tonight. Hope you all are too, because we always can learn from the masters in this industry. So let's rock this thing. Hey, everybody. My name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their communities that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate. And we are always going to bring the best in the game to you. Whether we're in another market like California, Ohio, Florida, or somebody's in Texas and they're doing deals in land, commercial, shopping centers, Airbnbs, or getting into different areas, maybe that are not just so centralized on real estate, but maybe adjacent to that, like marketing and branding. We always want to provide the best guests on the show on how you can take your company to the next level. On my show today, I got the Jerry Green. We are going to dive in on sales and how you can really fine tune your closing process and get more deals. Who doesn't want to get more deals in this market when everybody's talking about, oh, we can't close this deal, we can't close that deal. We need someone to come on and talk about how we can close these deals and get a better sales process on. So without further ado, let's welcome Jerry to the show. Jerry, we did it, my friend.
What's up, buddy? What's up? Glad to be here. Yeah, I mean, I'm Mr. Tech savvy, so I not.
I love it. Hey, Jerry, let's talk about the microphone before we begin. I love this microphone.
Yeah, it's turning all different colors, and it's cool.
It's great. I got to tell you, Jerry, it's so great having you on. When I get to see you at family, I hear what you're doing with sales and you're doing with the academy, and you're really growing the team and doing the 2-day trainings. It's so inspiring to see that. And then we're seeing people post about how they are having success with what they're doing with the training, that we all definitely need to learn about how to get more deals closed when you get the sticky stuff. So, I'm ready to dive in on this.
Awesome.
With sales, Jerry, we got to talk about how that all begins with the sellers in the beginning process, right? How are you taking it step by step, really training people to understand where to begin in that sales process?
Well, first of all, Al, thank you so much for allowing me to be on and be able to share with everybody in your audience. And I appreciate you too, man. And I love Burns too.
Love that place.
That's our steakhouse. So
that's it.
And the dessert room is the best.
The best.
Yes. So, a couple of different things, guys. Let's look at this. So I think it goes back to, first of all, Al, is what people have to look at is that most of us in this business, in the real estate side of things, you think about it, I mean, most of us have never been trained in any type of formal sales. Now, it might be some of us, right? We've had some training, we've read a book or something like that. So that's cool. All right. And that's probably helped you some through your career or depending where you're at. So, and I've learned a lot over the years. I started in this business in 1994. So it's 30 years now. And what's interesting on all this was I went into this business thinking years and years ago that as a real estate entrepreneur, that my job was to go in to talk to a seller and basically drop the low ball offer on them, and just come in hard, be that hard closer, tell them what it's like, and to say and basically just push them, then get that sign, right? And that's what we do. A lot of us have been trained that way. And I believe that for many years. What I realized though, out of this was that is completely dysfunctional. And what's interesting too, this not just applies to real estate, this applies to any type of sales whatsoever at all. And if you think about it, Al, when it comes to this, is when we talk about dysfunctional sales process that we've all learned about and all been trained on, and when I say we all been trained on, what I mean by that, you might not have any formal training, but you've been trained that way because of poorly trained salespeople around you. Think about it: car salespeople, people that you go to maybe you go to Costco and you have these people walking up, and the next thing you know, they're trying to sell you some type of service, right? And you're like, get away from me, right? And you'll tell them anything just to get away from them. So it's very common on that. So what we've done in an overall society is we've gotten to the point where we look at sales is this bad thing. And we, as individuals, think about this, all of us, what we do is way we deal with bad salespeople. And I want to make sure people understand it doesn't mean the person's bad. It's just they've been trained wrong and they're applying it wrong. What we do is we mislead them, and sometimes we mislead them with enthusiasm. So we do it intentionally, even though we don't even know we're doing it. I mean, think about this, all of us. How many times have you walked on the car lot and somebody comes up to you, hey, can I help you? What's the common line? I'm just looking.
Right.
I'm just looking. We do that. That's a misleading type of answer on that side. And it gives them little enthusiasm, and then it gives them a misleading thing. And then you go to the point you're looking around the car a little bit more, you're checking it out. And next thing you know, they go, hey, can we run some numbers? You go, I'm not real sure. I got to talk to my wife, right? Or I need to, those type of things. You're misleading again. And you're doing this intentionally. And it's just so subconscious to you on this. Okay. So if you think about it, then they say, hey, you know what? Why don't you test drive it? And then I'll get your information, right? And then next thing you know, you test drive it and you say, well, let me think about it, right? Common thing. And then they say, what? You know what? Can I call you on Monday? Yeah, that's fine. Call me on Monday. What time's good for you? Call me at lunch. Noon? Yeah, that's great. And then 12 o'clock comes around at lunch on Monday and you see that phone ring and you don't answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you know that. And what you're doing, again, is you're intentionally doing this because you're giving them a false yes. And you see this all the time in sales. Now think about it in real estate. So investors do this all the time. They're out there, they're calling sellers, they're going on appointments, right? All the time. They're talking to these sellers. And then sellers say, well, Al, I'm just not sure on this. I need to talk to my tenant because, I always told my tenant that, before I sold it, I would give them a chance to buy it. And you just gave an offer and you think, oh, okay, good. And you never hear back from them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We hear this all the time.
These
are things we see over and over again. So there's a major problem with this. And what we have to do is we have to think that, how do we fix this? Well, it's not like this big, all of a sudden I'm going to wave this wand and change human beings. What we have to do is we have to realize is we have to work and learn a sales process that aligns with the way human beings make complex decisions. Instead of going against it, we go with the way human beings make what we call complex decisions. And you realize something on this out too. Complex decisions or anything that has more than 3 or 4 variables. Sometimes I have complex decisions when I'm ordering a sandwich, brother. Okay.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So think about this. And here's the interesting thing on this, man, is that human beings, scientifically proven, are incapable of making complex decisions from the logical side of the brain. They only can make complex decisions from the emotional side of the brain. And think about what most investors do. They spend all their time on the logical side, and that's the numbers. That's why most people struggle so bad in this.
And then the sellers are on the emotional side of things. They're not really, I mean, they're thinking about numbers a little bit, but then they have all these other concerns.
Well, they have these concerns. And the thing is if people would focus more on the emotional side, what you'll find is price becomes secondary.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, let's break that down. So, a lot of, and we'll keep it to the real estate side so it really resonates with people and it can be relatable. So, a lot of investors, anybody in real estate, realtors, everybody's thinking about the logical side, right? When it comes to numbers and data.
Exactly.
How are you then going to take the next step to retrain that mind and start thinking like the seller? Like when you're on that phone call before you get to numbers, how are you getting to that relatable position with the seller to start getting into that emotional concept?
Okay. Great question, Liddell. So I think the first thing we have to realize is we have to, I think the way you got to, first of all, look at the sales process. We look at it when we train all our students in our sales academy. What we train based upon, if you think about it like a GPS system on your phone, right? That we want to get somewhere.
Right.
So we have a navigation system to get us somewhere. Well, that's the same way a sales process works. So the first thing we have to do is start from point A, right? Like you said right there, how do we get that going? Well, the first thing we have to do is get into the seller's world. And that's the key on that. Because think about this. This is where you see, like we train even cold callers, because most people that have cold callers are doing it wrong. Because what they do is call and say, "Hey, Al." As soon as you hear, "Hey, Al," is this Al? Think about this. If I'm calling you on your seller, on your lead, or on potential in your home, and as soon as I say, "Is this Al?" As soon as I say that, what do you think?
It might be.
Okay. Right. And why are you saying that? Because it's a sales call. You
Right.
instantly go into that. So we have to change that. Okay. So
Right.
it starts from the beginning. So what we have to do is we have to do something what we call setting the stage, Al. Setting the stage. Okay. This is one of the, and we can kind of walk through this journey here if you like and kind of give a framework on this,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
And this will,
absolutely.
we can
We
help
all
all.
need this. We need this, Jerry, because I think some probably out there, and I mean, no matter what business you're really in with sales, I think there's a component that we need to learn with this so we can get past this part of thinking on the
100%.
logical side.
Yep. So what I tell people is think about this. No matter who you're working with, you got to get in the front gate first. If you can't get in the front gate, nothing's ever going to happen. So the first thing we have to do is what we call setting the stage. And the purpose of setting the stage is to relieve sales pressure and basically relieve sales pressure and create open and honest communication. That's the purpose of that. And what we do when we set the stage on that, Al, there's three main components to that. If you like, we can go through those and help
Yeah.
share all your viewers here.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So the three components to what we call setting the stage is broke down to three different things. And one of those things, first of all, is what we call time. Simple as that. Think about this. How many times do you ever jump on a call with a seller, or if you're maybe in the appointment in the field and you just start talking about things and you don't explain to them how long it's going to take? And we've had this, I've seen so many students that I've worked with that I've had to correct over the years. And they'll go out there and they'll start talking to someone. And then that seller says, "Hey, you know what? I got to go pick up my kids from school." And they're freaking going through a drive through at McDonald's. And it's not the proper time. And you're trying to turn around and buy a home from them. Okay. So you got to make sure, first of all, time. And what we do is that's the first component. So we have to set the time. And what I can do is I'll go through these different basic components of setting stage, and then I'll give you an actual example how that sounds. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Let's
So
do that.
number one is time. Number 2 is agenda. What are we going to be doing here? What's this whole conversation about? Right? Where are we going with this? So number 2 is an agenda. Number 3 is an outcome. What is the outcome of our conversation here today? Okay. Think about it. All fear in sales relates to how long is this going to take? What's this about? And what are you trying to do? Right. So what we have to do, if we can go ahead and relieve that sales pressure, it's going to be so much easier to communicate with you. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, it absolutely does. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Writing it down.
Yeah. So here's what it might sound like. Hey, Al. Yeah. Hey, and listen, I know you got one of my postcards. Yeah, I did. Great. I'm just returning your call from earlier. Let me ask you, Al, do you have 10 or 15 minutes?
Sure.
Okay. Now, when you guys do that, put the pause on. One of the most beautiful things you could ever do in sales is pause. And you just pause. Okay. And Al said, yeah, I do. Great. Okay. Thank you, Al. Appreciate that. Hey, let me ask you, Al, what I'd love to do, Al, is let's talk a little bit about, your property. Tell me a little bit about it. And if you don't mind doing that, and also maybe why you're considering to sell it, if you are at all. And then, Al, if everything sounds good, I'd love to see if I could figure out a way that we could help you out here. And if we can help you out, get the process started today, I'd love to be able to do that. If not, that's perfectly okay. You know what? At least we gave it our best shot. Fair enough? Okay. I covered time, I covered an agenda, and I covered that outcome. My outcome was not to send you a contract, not to make you an offer. My outcome was to get the process started today. What sounds less salesy? Start the process, or I'm going to make you an offer?
Yes. Start the process.
Okay. See how you do it? You keep it so gentle. Okay. And you notice what I did too at the end. I done something what we call a takeaway. And I basically have already in the beginning, I'm trying to move the seller. Now, this is crazy. And most people have a hard time overcoming this that have never been trained this way, is I'm already moving the seller towards a no.
We got to hear this.
Okay. What did I say at the end? I said at the end, I said, Al, I said, hey, we can make this happen. Great. If not, no problem. At least we gave it our best shot.
Yeah. You're leading them to saying, yeah, I'm good right now. And we don't want to deal with this.
So with that, that's called setting the stage. What that does, it allows you to open up to open, honest communication, relieve the sales pressure. Too many people, what they do is as soon as they get on the call, they go, hey, Al, yeah, what's your property address? 123 Main Street? Yeah, cool. What do you owe on it? How much repairs does it need, right? How many times have we heard that?
Yeah. Are you renting it out to tenants, or is it vacant?
Yeah. Yeah, see, guys, that's the amateur way of doing this. And that's why when you do this, guys, this is why you get the results that you do, because you sound like a salesperson. So what we got to do is stop selling and start assisting. Sales, you guys, if you have a way to write this down, sales is nothing more than assisting someone through a decision-making process. That's it.
Simply said right there.
Okay. All right, cool. And if you like, bro, I can jump into some other steps if you want. So
yeah, I mean, no, this is great. You're on a roll right now with this. I'm learning from this process. I feel like I need to show up at the Jerry Green two-day camp right here,
dude. The Sales Academy is the gold standard when it comes to training people in real estate sales, and we are the best in the country at doing this.
I love this.
We work with a lot of our community members. Come in, and it's not uncommon to see them increase their conversions anywhere from 20 to 50% conversions. Okay.
And especially how you were telling me, like how now a lot of investors have all these existing leads and they're trying to close on them, but can't get over that hurdle of getting that close because of the sales process getting in the way.
Yeah. So let's do this. If you don't mind, Al, what I'll do is I'll share with you. There's 4 main steps to the sales process. If you like, I can summarize those. Okay.
Let's
Now
do it.
remember, in my sales academy, we spend 12 weeks going through this. Okay. So what I'll do is I will summarize this for everybody on, and that way you got an idea of how this works. So step one, we set the stage. Okay. That's all to relieve sales pressure, open and honest communication. Now we've got into the gate. Now the next thing we need to do is, what do we got to do? Is we have to build rapport. Okay. The best way to build rapport is get them talking, not you. Get the client talking. And what we've learned, one of the best ways to get them talking is to basically, what we do is we try to open it up with a quick, we call it the property walkabout.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So we like to do the quick property walkabout. And all that is for me to get an idea of the flow of the property. And one thing I'll tell you, this is something I've trained a lot of people on. This is the area that most real estate investors kind of screw up on, because what they want to do is they want to go into what I call the rehab rabbit hole. And they want to spend an hour talking about the condition of the property. It doesn't matter. You guys have to get over that. What we have to do on this, the only reason we're asking about the property is the only purpose is to open up communication. If we need to talk details on the property, we can do that later. Right now, I just want to open up communication. So I might say something like this: "Hey, Al, if you wouldn't mind, this kind of give me a little walkthrough of what the layout of the property looks like. And Al, don't worry about giving me all the details, what's all going on, problems with it, but just kind of give me a quick walkthrough, just maybe 5 minutes." Okay, fair enough.
Sounds good.
Okay, so now I'm going through that and getting this quick walkthrough on the property. And what I'm doing on that's allowing me to get them talking and start building rapport. That's all I need. And then it opens things up. And then it goes to really the second component of our sales process is basically pulling out motivation and creating urgency. Pulling out motivation and creating urgency. And the urgency is to act now versus later. Okay. So now what we've done on this is we've searched within the academy a lot of components on this, Al, and what we've learned through research. And I'm talking about what we put into just our sales process was over 20 years of research that went into this. Thousands of other books, neuroscience, neuroeconomics, and all this. Okay. So what we're doing is we're not, look, you see, and I'll just say this, you see a lot of people talk about, well, I'm just going to give you scripts. Scripts are great, but scripts alone mean nothing if you don't understand the why behind it. Like if I could give you a tool, and if I gave you a tool, and you didn't know how to use that tool properly, you're not going to get very, very efficient with it, right?
Right.
So that's what we do. So we learn that scripts are just part of the toolbox. Okay? It's not the process. So the second thing is we focus on creating, basically pulling out motivation and creating urgency. And we do that, Al, by questions. Simply questions. And what we've proven is these three types of questions that I can kind of just summarize those for you guys real quick. These three types of questions are the most powerful questions you can ever use when you're talking to sellers. And these questions will lead you to the information that you need to know. And it leads the seller to the point where they want to take action now versus later. And these three types of questions, we call them our PIP questions. PIPP, our PIP questions. And these PIP questions, number one is problem questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I just need to know what the problem is, Al. What's going on? Right.
Right.
Second type of question is what we call impact questions. And I'll come back to that real quick. The third type of question is what we call picture perfect questions. So what picture perfect is, Al, where are you looking at going? Well, I'm going to move to Florida. Well, you already live in Florida, but I'm looking at going to Hawaii. Okay. Wow. Why would you want to go to Hawaii, Al? Well, it's just because I have family there. This is such a gorgeous place. I just always wanted to live there. Wow. Is that a big deal or a little deal? That's really big to me. Wow. When you say that's really big to me, what do you mean by that? You see how I'm doing that?
Yes.
I'm just driving that in. So what I'm doing is that's a picture perfect. So you're painting me the perfect scenario that you want. Okay. Form this. And then what I do is I use what we call impact questions to dive in deeper on problem questions and picture perfect questions. So I'm doing that. So if you think about it, I have 3 questions. These 3 questions, Al, are proven that the top performing salespeople in the world, I'm talking salespeople sometimes that make over $1 million a year just in commissions, are proven that they use these strategies. And you can actually see the maturity level of a closer by listening to the types of questions that they ask. And the ones that close on the highest level and help people on the highest level are the ones that use questions like this. Okay. It's question based, basically open end type questions. And we use problem questions, picture perfect, and then we use impact to dive deep into each one of those areas. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. It's really interesting, Jerry. I gotta say, because like I've been thinking about it since you mentioned the word scripts. Like as soon as you said it, it's so true because for me in my business, there's no scripts when I'm getting on a call
Exactly.
with a potential
Exactly.
client. Like it's just me off the cuff, authentic, right? So I feel like what this is doing is creating this like authentic programming, right? Where it's
100% difference.
yeah, like you're on your feet, but you're thinking through the process and really getting through it versus the script. I mean, how many offices that do high volume investing are like stick to the script, stick to the script. It's like, but it's the same thing, and it sounds salesy, and people don't like it. So I
Right.
love that you're narrowing this through.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. So now we'll keep on rolling. So the next step, our third step is something we call deal killers. All right. A lot of times people refer to them objections, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do we typically do when we're talking to a seller? We go ahead and make the offer. And then what happens usually after we make the offer, you hear things like, I got to run this by my attorney, right? Um, you know, I've got to talk to I definitely got to run this by the rest of my family because we inherited this property, right? And I got to talk to all my siblings on this. Okay. Or I got to talk to my neighbor. He's a real estate agent and all these things. Well, I don't know. I might just fix it up and sell it myself.
Yeah.
Okay. See, the problem is what you're doing is you're making someone an offer and then you're trying to overcome objections after you already given them what they want. There's no reason for them to talk to you anymore. So what we do is we train you to cover what we call your deal killers before you ever get to the numbers. Okay.
Got it.
So, and what we've learned is there's typically 4 main types of deal killers. Okay. Number 1, money. Okay. And I can't get into that today, but one of the things we train on that, a lot of people think is like, well, the seller just wanted more money. I can tell you this, the more time you spend in motivation and urgency, less money becomes of importance. And then I also have an amazing tool we call price anchoring. I'll try to drop that bomb in for everybody here before we leave, but it is amazing and it crushes the price side. Okay.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah. So, okay. So as we look at this, like I said, we talk about money. That's a common deal killer. We have a way to overcome that. Another thing that we look at is what we call other influencers. Okay. And this is not somebody just on title. This is all those little people. They're hidden influencers that are in your ear, right? Oh, I wouldn't sell it for that. I wouldn't do that. They're the ones that, again, it's the real estate agent friend that's telling you what to do, right? It's your other family member. So what we do is we take that off the table now versus later. Okay. So then we look at, so that's the second common deal killer. The other third common deal killer is other options. Well, maybe I would list the property. Maybe you should rent it. Maybe you should fix up and sell it. Okay. All these things. See how we start taking this off? And then the last common one is risk and discomfort. That's when you turn around and you're ready to make an offer. And then just think about this. How many times have you ever said you're working with someone and you think, oh man, they're ready to go. They're excited. And crickets, we don't ever hear back from them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's usually because some type of risk and discomfort. So what we do is we've designed tools to overcome every single one of those, Al. Okay. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I think that most investors, they're so scared to bring these up. They're so scared to do that. And what you have to, it's like, why would I bring these up and kill the deal? I got news for you. The seller is going to bring them up anyways. So why not just cover it now versus later? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, you're being proactive on their issues ahead of time.
Yeah.
So what are they going to say then?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do to overcome deal killers, we have basically questions. It's all question-based strategies that we go through to eliminate those deal killers. And there's quite a few of them on that, but just give a couple examples on this. So for instance, let's just say that there's a potential other influencer. So I might say, Al, Al, is there anybody that you usually go to when you're making a big decision like this? Oh yeah, I always go to so-and-so. Okay, now I know that. Did you see that? Now I know that. Okay, I just pulled that out. Now I can go through and see if I can solve that. So common one too is other options. Al, I got the feeling that I don't know that we're quite there yet. Notice how I'm pulling you back. Al, I have to ask you something here. Have you considered just listing the property?
And trying to get an answer from them.
Al, have you considered just fixing the property up and selling it yourself and doing that? And Al, I think that might be the best option for you. In fact, Al, what I've learned is if money is the most important thing to you, that's the price that you get for the property is the most important thing to you, I'm not your option. In fact, I think you're better off just rehabbing the property yourself. In fact, Al, I have a 6-page report that I'm glad to send you of how to hire contractors, how to manage them, how to deal with, code-wise and dealing with inspections, all these things, and it'll walk you through that entire process of rehabbing the property. Fair enough? Okay. Do you see how I'm doing that?
Yes.
Okay. See, our goal is constantly moving them to a no, because what we want to do, we want them to start selling us. It's a beautiful thing, guys, when you do this. When people do this out, it's amazing. I had one of my students this was just last week on my weekly sales training I do with my community. And one guy out of Canada, he said, Jerry said, I use this tactic. And this was so, it blew me away. He got an assignment fee on a deal. Now, this is one of the record setting ones we've had, $212,750.
What?
Okay. Isn't that crazy?
That is insane.
Yeah. 200. And another student in there out of Atlanta, he said, his comment was, Jerry, he told the group, he says, trust the process. He just done a deal. It was like $85,900 some dollars. Okay. And these are properties, guys, they never took title to. It's just, they assigned their rights. So those are called, like I say, deal killers. And what's interesting now is when we train people within our community on this, what we've found is if people can, a lot of people worry about, they say, there's so much to know out of the sales process. And what we do is we understand it's like starting to drive a car. Okay. and regarding like a stick shift. I remember when I first learned how to drive a stick shift, I sucked. Okay. And we all probably did, but it took time, didn't it? And that's why what we do in our sales training, we have people that come in, they go through it multiple rounds because it takes multiple rounds to constantly improve. But when you do that, it's amazing what happens. But what we learned is sometimes people can go in and they just master even just the deal killers. You can see increases of conversions on your deals upwards of 15 to 20% just from that alone. Okay. Think about
Incredible.
that. Yeah. So then what happens after that, Al? We eliminate the deal killers. Then we move into an area, what we call the close, right? That's our fourth step. But what do you think of when it says the close? What's your thoughts on that, bro?
Probably thinking about money.
Okay. What else? I mean, what we typically do when we go to close someone?
Here's the contract. Here we
Okay.
go. Sign it.
Okay.
We're going to send it through you to DocuSign or.
Okay. What else we got to do? Most people think we got to close them means to do what?
Get the deal done.
Get the deal done. Exactly. Okay. Well, I want you guys to rewire that, because if we've done step 1, 2, and 3 correctly, they're already closed. Okay. Step 4 is not closing the deal. It's closing out the process. And I want you guys to get that. It's amazing what happens when people start learning that, because what we do when we go to close, and I'll kind of summarize this for you, bro, if you're okay on time on this. You okay?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think more people have been watching since you've been talking about this. I mean, keep going.
Okay. So what we do is when we go into the close, okay, we're not going through and try to say, hey, okay, Al, this is typically what happens. Most investors do this. They go to close. What they do is they pull up the contract. They start talking about, hey, I've been an investor for this many years. They'll do they might have a little flip presentation they go through. They're talking about comps and all this. And if you've done everything else I talked about, you're taking someone that you work with for the last 45 minutes to an hour, and you got them into an emotional, basic complex decision-making state, and you just switched them over to a logical side of things. Your chances of closing that on a good deal are going to drop tremendously. Okay. So what we do is we keep them in that emotional state. Okay. And the reason, let me share this with you guys. The reason you want to keep them in that state, now get this, you guys, some of you might know this, but some of you don't. This will blow you away. The logical side of the brain operates at 50 bits per second. It's extremely slow. It cannot make complex decisions. The emotional side of the brain works at 11 million bits per second.
Wow.
So what side of the brain should you be focusing on when it comes to decisions? The slow, methodical, pokey part of the brain that will drag out. And when you do that, when people focus on just the logical side of the brain, very common, people want to get multiple offers. Okay. And before I jump into the final steps on the close here, let me just give you guys this. All of you, listen to me on this. How many of you have ever been to a doctor? Okay. Al, I mean, obviously we all been to doctors, right?
Yep.
When we go into a doctor's office, if we go into the doctor's office and we're not feeling right, we know something's wrong. We go in there and the doctor comes in, they just check us over real quick. And then they give us a quick diagnosis, prescribe something to us, and we don't feel it. We know something else is wrong. We walk out of there. What are you probably going to do?
Go to a different doctor.
So you're seeking a second opinion. Guys, that's what sellers do all the time. Because what you did, see, when you think about this, if the doctor done a thorough exam, you're going to feel comfortable to stay with them. And it's the same thing in our world. When you do a thorough exam with the seller and understand really what's going on in their life, they will stick with you, even when your number sometimes is much lower. I've had students tell me, oh my God, Jerry, the seller told me my offer was $50,000 less than the other person, but they just felt comfortable working with me. It's because they did exactly what I told them to do. And it's approved. That process allows you to be able to have that out. Okay. And for some of you guys that are watching this today, this will literally change your lives if you start applying this. Okay. Now, when we go into the close, what we do is this is like I say, I spend weeks on this, but kind of summarize it. When we go to close, first thing we do is we go into the presentation. Most people think the presentation is what? What do you think the presentation usually is, Al, when we're talking like this? If I'm going to close someone, what's the presentation that immediately goes into your mind?
Here's what it looks like.
Yeah, here's what it looks like. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the script on that. What we're going to do is we're not going to do that. They don't care about that. They don't care about you. They don't care how great your company is. They don't care about any of that. What we're going to do when we do presentation, I present to them the things they told me. I'm going to present to them their motivations, and I'm going to present to them their deal killers. That's what they told me was the important things. That's what kept them in that emotional state. I'm presenting to those items. That's my presentation.
So it's almost like a recap, right?
It is, exactly. I'm reframing that because I'm keeping them in that emotional state. And then what I'm doing is, and then I have the very set steps I go through that typically we go into next is what we call our price anchoring tool. And this price anchoring tool is a freaking amazing. What's a common thing that we've all heard in sales? Okay. Whoever names the
highest
number,
price.
the number first, what? Whoever names the number first loses. Right? How many times have we heard that? So many times, right? It's all BS. Because what we've learned, it's called price anchoring. And most of you, what you're doing, as soon as you ask the seller, what are you asking for the property? When the seller gives you a number, they just price anchored you. So what you have to look at is how do you price anchor the seller? So my sales team and all my students, they don't ask the question, what are you asking for your property, Al?
Mm-hmm.
I'm anchoring you. So, and this might sound something like this, Al, Al, it sounds like, your property definitely needs some work based upon what you're telling me. And you got a tough situation here. Al, I would love to be able to, buy your property. I would love to be able to be at 149,000, but I know that's something you would never consider. And in fact, it's Al, that's not my offer. I'd love to be there because I know I wouldn't lose money, and it would be a good business decision to be able to do that. And I just will feel comfortable there, but I know that's something you would never consider. Okay. Now, guys, I want you to understand something. What I just did is what we call a price anchor tool. I anchored you without making you an offer. And what we do by doing this, what happens on this, brother, is I find out if what'll happen on that. Notice I went quiet at the end of that. Mm-hmm. What happens is that you will then there's three outcomes, basically two different outcomes that will come from that. Number one, you'll confirm and say, oh no, there's no way I could never do that. And the second outcome, you will turn around and then give me the direction of where we should go. Okay, think about that. Yeah. So you're telling me what direction I should go versus, hey, Al, what are you asking for the property? See, think about this. How many times have you ever been to a store shopping, Al? Do you like to shop, brother?
Oh, yeah, man.
Okay, what's your favorite thing to buy?
Oh, my gosh. Anything from clothes.
Okay. Yeah, so what's the favorite clothes item you like to buy?
Polos,
Okay.
button downs, jeans.
All right, perfect. Okay, so you like jeans, so you go to a store, you see this, and you see these jeans, right? This tag, and the tag says these jeans are valued at $300. They were marked down to $189, and now they're on sale for $69. And if that's the brand you like, you're probably going to snatch them up, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting thing, that store just price anchored you. What they do is they use the $300 as a comparison, and they anchored you at the low level. We can flip that around and do the same thing on the seller. And then think about this. So would you rather the seller price anchor you at 300,000, or would you rather price anchor the seller at 149,000?
Oh yeah, 149.
See how that works? So
Yeah.
it works in reverse. So now instead of you coming down, you're coming up.
Yeah.
What I tell you too, I told you it wasn't even, that's not even my offer. By the way, Al, that's not my offer. I just love to be able to be there, but I know that's something you would never consider. It sounds like your property's way too nice on that. Okay. See, and that's one of the guys, when you start learning this, it's such a powerful tool. And there's a lot of other steps, but just to be
Oh, yeah.
respectful of time on things, we take those 4 steps and then we go through that. And what happens is when we do that within our sales process, the sales academy, we know what happens is we start creating repeatable results. Now you take all your marketing that you're doing and you start realizing a lot of times that I don't need to spend extra money on marketing. I got to get better at converting. And this could be, think about this for a new investor. How important is that? Even seasoned investors, but think about a new investor that has a really limited budget on marketing. And I get so aggravated on this. This really pisses me off, Al,
Yeah.
to see people out there and they're taking their hard-earned money, they're putting it into marketing, and they're just, and because somebody told them use this marketing thing, there's a lot of great marketing sources out there, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is you generate the leads, but if you can't convert them, then it's useless.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to get good at converting.
Or
Make
Jerry,
every marketing dollar count, brother.
Jerry, what they'll do, they'll say, just, market, just pick up the phone, start dialing.
Yeah.
Right? Or
Exactly.
just shoot from the hip, just give it a shot. But there's no direction whatsoever.
No,
right?
no direction.
And I'm not even the one calling the sellers. Like, I just hear it on the other end.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, I understand what's going on.
Dude, you'd be surprised. It's like you go in and, another big thing we get is we understand what we call resistance. Okay. So what we've done is we designed, I want you guys to think about this. Resistance, all these things are the things that come up during the sales call or appointment in the field. And what you have to realize is these are common things. A lot of people say, well, what about if it's a probate deal? What if it's a foreclosure deal? It doesn't matter of the deal. I don't care if it's single family. I don't care if it's foreclosure. I don't care if it's multifamily, land, notes. None of that matters. Okay. The process is the process. The only variable is the people. That's it. And guess what? All we do is follow the process. Then we have tools within that process we use. So we have a process we created, and then we have the tools that we apply to that. So if I remember, I said it's like a GPS system.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're driving on following a GPS system, what happens when you have there's a construction site, right?
Yeah.
Detour. We have to get around that.
Right.
So what we do is that's part of the things that happen. Sellers get mad. Okay. I know people on here probably have heard stuff where seller jumps on. I just want an offer. I just want an offer. That's all I want. You sent me the stuff. You said you wanted to make me an offer. What do you do in those cases? Okay.
Get around that.
Yeah. We have to learn how to overcome that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's tools for all of it. And when you start learning this, dude, what happens? Sales becomes so fun.
Jerry, I don't know if you do this style with your students, but me being on the hot seat for these questions this has made me learn even more, because it's a great style. This is what makes you a great coach,
Well,
right?
thanks, brother.
Yeah, this is like my special one-on-one,
Yeah.
and I
Dude, I
get
love it. I love it. I watch so many people's lives change on this. I see new investors go out of the gate, and because they can convert on high level, next thing you know, they're I have one student, I just think about this, the gentleman named Andy out of Pennsylvania, love him dearly. He's almost 70 years old. He was during COVID, he was a big REO agent. COVID wiped him out completely.
Hmm.
Okay. He had to restart on things. And he said, Jerry, he says, I really want you to help me on this. He went from zero, and we've been working with him now for about 8 months or so, maybe 9. And he's such an amazing guy. And now get this on things, brother, on Al, on this. He has spent $0 on marketing. I told him, I said, dude, you got to let the world know what you're doing. Stop hiding that. Tell everybody what you're doing. He's averaging anywhere from 40 to 50 grand a month, zero marketing. And he said, Jerry, I owe this all to the sales process. Okay.
incredible,
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. So it's so cool to see this happen, brother.
Doesn't
So
matter what age you're at, you're always through a learning process, right? You're
yeah,
always
yeah.
trying to get better at what you're doing, and look at that, 0 marketing spent and getting that kind of money. That's incredible ROI for doing no
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah. It's just, it's just, look, when you've been doing as long as I have, okay, there's not a lot of people who have been doing this 30 years that are still here doing it. And I just say that, what I've learned over these years, brother, and especially what our subject matter is today is on the sales side of things, is really what we're talking about here is how to master the skills of assisting people in a decision-making process. This, I don't care if you're wholesaling, and you can use this for your buyers, your sellers. If you're doing multifamily, remember, I don't care who you're dealing with. All decisions are made from the emotional state. And a lot of people say, well, this person's they're not that way. Okay. Are they a human being? Yes. Unless they're an alien. Okay. All people are, and this is scientifically proven. I had an engineer challenge me on this once. And when I was done, he goes, you're exactly right. I go, I know I'm right. It's not me, it's science. Okay. So
It works. I love it.
it works, dude. It works.
Jerry, awesome. I mean, this is awesome stuff. I love learning from you, man. Whether we're at the mastermind, on a podcast, I'm always learning something new. And it's really even made me rethink about the sales process on the business side of things, right? Like,
Oh, it's huge.
how are we engaging with clients? How are we engaging with new prospects, right? And what we need to be on the lookout for in terms of that logical side and emotional. I just love this breakdown that you've done, and I've loved being in this seat to see you one-on-one go through this. And I'm sure so many have been learning from this call. I mean, how many people are going through deals right now that they're struggling on and can just use a bit of these tricks and tactics to get over that hump. It's huge stuff. So no, this has been great. We've gone down the whole river on the sales process, and there's probably so much more.
Yeah. Look, what we do is we take people through this, and that's what we do within our sales academy. And we help people out on a high level, and we're able to make a big impact. And that's what we do, man. And that's what it's all about, brother. And if I can do that, that's what I'm all about. And
I love it.
I'll just, yeah. So, love to help you. Anything else you need, brother, I'm here for you, man. And
I love it.
any of your any of your viewers or anything like that, if you like, I can, I don't know if you're I can give you a phone number too, if you want that, Al.
Oh yeah. What we'll do is, drop your number. We're dropping all the info on the bottom of the screen. So where
Okay,
you can
perfect.
find the Sales Academy, the
Yeah.
YouTube channel, but feel free, drop the number, drop your email, whatever works for
Yeah.
you.
Well, I'll just give you a number. I don't know. Should I just give it to you and you guys,
Yeah,
however?
yeah. If you drop it in there, we'll cover it, and Mike will put it up on the screen for sure.
Okay, great. It's 513. Okay. 513-567-1467. That's Cindy on my team, okay, within the Sales Academy. And um, if you guys contact Cindy on that, or you can go through the, reisalesacademy.com. But if you reach out to her on that, she can talk to you on that. And just mention that you came from the Owl Show. And if you do that, we'll make sure we get you. If that's something you're interested in, fine. If not, we're here to help you regardless. But we'll make sure that we'll take care of anybody on that. We'll do a 45% off for them.
Boom, look at that. Right there for Jerry. Look at that, Jerry. Thank you for that. For the
Yeah.
listeners out there. I mean, huge. You can get so much value from this, right? So much comes from learning the sales process. Jerry, awesome stuff. We're going to keep putting the chyrons on the bottom, all the information. Before we hop off, I do a signature question section.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
didn't go over this, but I want to just see your answers on this.
Okay.
It's great seeing the guests have different answers depending on their industry and what they've gone through. So let's see what you think. Jerry, what will you never compromise on with your business?
What will I never compromise on my business? I would say that it's my process.
Cool.
Okay. Because I think what happens, a lot of people in their business come in and they have clients come in to try to take and say, well, tweak it for me. No, it's your process. You developed it. Okay.
It's your system. It's your way.
We
That's it.
know what works and we know how to help you.
Love it. Love it. Okay, cool. All right, Jerry, what are the biggest challenges you face in your business?
I think one of the biggest challenges we face in our business, obviously we do the real estate side and we have the training side, is I think all of us, what I still struggle with is focus.
Really? In what capacity? Just not
It's as an entrepreneur, okay? I think we all have this thing, especially when we have more of that visionary mindset of trying to be focused, right? And a lot of you that are on here, is one of the biggest lessons I ever learned from a mentor of mine. He took his business to $300 million a year in revenue. And he said, niche equals rich. Focus.
focus down. Yeah, don't go after the shiny
Yeah.
objects.
So I constantly have to do that because I'm that visionary and I got to constantly get myself back in focus.
Do you do that reshifting of your focus yourself, or do you have somebody that kind of works with you on that on your team?
I will work on myself, but I have a team and they have to constantly kick my butt.
Get you
So,
right back into it.
yes, and my wife too.
That's a big component for sure. Great, Jerry. Okay, so this is really the prediction question. So
Okay.
I don't know where you're going to go with this, but where do you see the real estate industry in 5 years?
5 years. Well, I think that I don't think our inventory problem is going to be cured by then. Okay, so I don't see any. I don't believe there's going to be a big downfall. Look, will we see some adjustments? Of course, a lot of it comes up to a little bit here. What's coming up here for the election year is going to be interesting on that. But other than that, I think we're going to see still a lack of inventory, which is still going to drive things. Okay, and so I think that's one component there, man. It's still going to drive things, and I don't think we're ever going to see the crazy low interest rates again. Probably, I don't think so in my lifetime. I don't think so. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what I see. And I see that, that we're just going to continue to see that, inking up and, values going up. I don't think we'll see it as aggressive as we have been. I think we're going to see a slower pace on that. And that's my belief. by far, I don't have the crystal ball, but I can tell you that I've been doing this 30 years. It kind of comes to the point where you almost can look at it as a history book.
Mm-hmm. You go through these cycles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We have those anomalies like we had in 2008, but you got to remember that was there was a lot going on that we don't have present right now. Okay, this is a whole different environment than back then. People didn't have equity. Okay,
Mhm.
there wasn't all that side of things, and it was a collapse, a whole different types of collapse on that side of things.
Mm. Yeah, I think it was Tom Berry we had on the show. Always talked about like the cycles that keep coming through.
Yeah.
We had someone else talk about like they've seen it from '08, they saw it from before, and you never know what it's going to be in the future, but it's probably not going to be the same thing. But there's always these cycles, and you're
Oh
always
yeah,
gonna have
100%.
buyers and sellers.
I mean, definitely. I mean, there'll be some point that'll be another real crash on things. There has to be at some point.
Interesting. Yeah.
There has to be at some point, and we keep it cleansed that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Keep it that way. All right, Jerry, one last question that I don't even have it on my computer. Your favorite dessert at Burn Steakhouse?
oh, let's see. That is the man. Is that? Oh my God! It's the ice cream sundae
Yep.
with the hot fudge
Yep.
and the nuts on it, and
Yeah.
it's the whole. What is
The
it's
macadamia nut fudge hot sundae.
macadamia nut ice cream, dude. Yeah, that's the one with the hot fudge on the side. That is the freaking best.
The best.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
Yes. That just ruins me for the whole week.
Dude, that is insane. And you can't eat that like I don't know if any of you've been there before, but you can't do that like you can't do it more than maybe once a month.
If that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. It's always a great time doing that dinner,
It is.
dessert. It's always
Yeah.
so much fun, man.
So
Always great. Jerry, well, I gotta say, we are at the end, and I gotta say, the viewership went up as you were walking us through the sales process, because I'm sure a lot of people are like, "Wait a second, I don't want to miss this," and probably telling some other people, "Hey, this is good stuff right now." So people were really watching this tonight, and just go into the chat room. Teresa, we missed you last week. We didn't get to see you. She's on tonight. I'm sure she's taking lots of notes. She's ready for the recap. We're always so excited to see you. Dan the man, I love it. Dan is watching. He said above, very awesome episode. Thank you. Love what you guys are talking about. Success through building rapport, providing good guidance and professionalism, the psychology of business interaction. I've always enjoyed learning about it and putting it into practice. Fantastic episode, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Wow. I know. It's like, Dan, I love it. Keep going, man. I love that you're doing that. Maria's watching. Maria, I'm sure she's taking a ton of notes. I'm sure she's ready to get that next investment property and find out that next sale. I love that. And just everybody. And Mike, thank you. Michael just said just subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can learn so much from Jerry Green and what he is talking about with the sales process. So I'm happy it was an epic episode for a lot of people. And Jerry, I got to say, I have truly enjoyed sitting here, watching you, learning, taking notes, and being in this interactive role. I feel like the ultimate student tonight and in front of the great coach. And it's been so much fun. And I got to say, as I do at the end of my show, I do a segment called Final Words, Final Thoughts. Anything Jerry Green wasn't able to cover, that final nugget, that last piece, that last sales tip, trick that somebody can get out there. So as I do, final words, final thoughts, Jerry Green.
Well, thank you, bro. Thank you on that. I'll just say this, guys, is that you have to follow a sales process. Okay. Trust the process and you will see results like you've never seen before, guys. That's the thing you've got to remember. And I guess the final component on that is always move towards the no when you're working with the seller. And you will find that if you focus on the no, it will actually change your entire game.
Boom. We're going to leave it right there. Jerry, had so much fun having you on the show. I'm so glad we got to do this. Perfect timing. And thanks so much for providing that value to everyone on sales, the process, walking us through it. Huge stuff, lots of value, so much to go in and for people to go back and watch and really dive in on those things. And of course, check you out on all the platforms and your academy, the YouTube channel, and where to get you. So Jerry, until next time, my friend, I will see you soon, and we will be getting dinner at Burns, like always, the traditional dinner. I love it.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Anytime, man. I'll see you soon, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Glad I could help.
Anytime. Thank you, Jerry. Wow. If you thought you knew sales, you need to rethink that again. There's so much to it. And what Jerry talked about really is an eye-opener for a lot of people that are looking at their scripts. I mean, how many offices talk about scripts? And as soon as he said that and was walking through this, I'm thinking, well, what he's doing is authentically training your mind to think like a human being on that emotional side. And that's what you should be doing. And I'm not looking at a script when I'm talking to potential clients. I'm riffing, but I'm also not thinking about the emotional side all the time, right? And so when you have those two components, it makes you think a lot about what you are doing in your processes. So I got so much value from that. I know a lot of you did too. I love that everybody's been commenting. And I see also my MacBook. I can't tell who my MacBook is, but my MacBook said, thank you both. Jerry, see you in class tomorrow. And my man, Dan McDuffie. Oh, I'm sure, Dan, you have been loving this episode. Like, I mean, you got to let me know the next time this converts on that probate lead, right? Like, I'm sure that this is something that anyone at any stage can implement. And so thank you for watching. I'm so glad it was impactful for everybody. And Teresa, of course, this was good stuff. I mean, that's what works. So everybody, I am always so happy that it's a success on the show. We're always going to bring the best value, the best guests. And of course, if you want to find us, scan the QR code and that'll get all the content. And if you missed any of this episode, go back, check it out. So much to watch, so much to learn from. And we will see you all next week and another Wednesday night in the studio. I'll see you all then, 9 p.m. Eastern. See you next week, everybody. Take care.